a very special edition World Cup special, and today I've got one of the greatest of our generation. Someone who I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed watching all my journalistic years. Someone who gave us a huge scare in that night in 2011 to 22nd April. One of the best hundreds you will see. One of the best hundreds you will see in a World Cup final. Thank you very much, Mahela Jayawardene, for joining me. First question. 2011, last time the World Cup was played on our soil, your 100, it almost took it away from India. Thoughts about that 100?
Yeah, thank you for having me. First of all, I think it was a amazing World Cup final, and to play at India, I still remember walking into that stadium, the crowd, the atmosphere, everything was amazing, and especially when I remember when the Indian boys came out for the warm up, the chanting of Sachin, 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 and it just like it kept on going. I can't remember when it stopped, probably when he got out in that second innings. It was a amazing finals. I think I thoroughly enjoyed, obviously, my effort on that day. Tough conditions. We managed to put a decent score on the board, and then we thought we were in control for most part of that finals, up until they started putting up few partnerships, and we realized there was dew started coming in, which there was no dew the previous few nights when we practiced, and our spinners couldn't get anything going, and Indian batting lineup was quite strong. I think the only way we could have controlled them was picking up regular wickets, which we couldn't. So deservingly on that night, India won the finals, and I still, I think, have the record of scoring 100 in a losing final. I think I'm the only one who's done that. So losing course in a World Cup final. So I mean, good memories. Bad result, I guess, at the end.
But as a cricket fan, I mean, and not as an Indian fan, as a cricket fan, I love that innings. I mean, if I go back, and before this interview, I was actually watching glimpses of it on YouTube. Amazing innings. Mahela, tell me something. I mean, Sri Lanka, if I take a look at ICC tournaments, always punching above their weight, whether it's 2011, whether it's 14 winning, whether it's subsequently also. Why? I mean, how does this happen time and again? That Sri Lanka has always excelled in ICC tournaments. Have you been able to figure that out?
I think that generation of cricketers had a taste of winning big tournaments, and we had a unique group of players as well. I think coming from the 96 World Cup, we had the belief in our ranks, that we could win tournaments, win World Cups. And I think apart from the 99 and 2003, we got to the semi-finals. And apart from that, I think in that 10-year span, I think we were in 5 World Cup finals, 3 T20s and 2 50-over World Cups. So that group had that belief. We had some amazing cricketers in that squad. I think it was all about the belief, and tactically we set ourselves quite well in certain conditions. The way we approached the T20 game, we had a very good bowling unit. I think we rallied around that bowling unit. Likes of Murali Vasi to start with, then Lassit came onto the scene, Achanta Mendes, Dillara Fernando, Juan Kulasekara, we Rangana Herath. We had a very good attacking bowling group, which kept on challenging any batting lineup. I think, and the batsmen rallied around that, and we had some unique batters as well. I think that is what I would put across, and recently as well, I think the teams like Sri Lanka, when they went for the T20 World Cup in the last 2 tournaments, we made some big upsets and played and almost was in the semi-finals if they won that couple of games in either of those World Cups. So I think that the team has that belief that you can compete and win.
That was actually my next question. I mean, that if I take the Asia Cup last year, whether it is Pathum, whether it is Dilshan Madhushanka, whether it is, I mean, if I go down that route, and everybody sort of stood up. At that point in time, the country was going through a bit of a crisis. So that victory was far more than a cricketing victory. It brought smiles to the faces of everybody in Sri Lanka. And that Asia Cup was so good to watch. How do you rate that? I mean, how important was that? And how do you rate the current team?
It was a it was very important. I think this group of players, that was the biggest tournament win up to date. I think we had a bit of a low time between 2014 and up until 2020, until this young group of players were put together by the selectors. Few years back, and that was the biggest victory, the Asia Cup, and the character that they showed, the way they played. They had few injuries, but the young guys who came into the squad, stood up. And I believe they have that kind of confidence now going into this World Cup as well. It's the same group of guys. They have 3-4 years of good experience playing in a couple of T20 World Cups together. A couple of young guys who's come in and given a little bit more impetus, especially Dilshan Madhushankar, the left-arm fast bowler. You still got your match winners in one Indu, Mahesh Deekshana, and now we got the young Matisha Patirana, who has now got very good experience last 12 months. He's been fantastic. So again, we are putting together a decent bowling attack. I firmly believe that bowling units are very, very important in major tournaments. They are the ones who actually win you championships. And if we can keep everyone healthy and going into this World Cup, I think we got a fairly good chance, especially playing in Indian conditions.
And you've been there, done that with the IPL. You've coached the Mumbai Indians. You've sort of been around. Mahesh Deekshana was on my show, and he said, because all of these players play IPL for different teams, whether it's Gujarat, Mumbai, Bangalore, and all of these teams, Lucknow, this will give them a clear idea of the conditions, and that will help. Your thoughts that because they play the IPL, will that give them an edge?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think the confidence factor is there. They know the grounds, the surfaces, how it plays, especially. I mean, it's a different format, the T20, but the similarities are there, and the conditions quite well. Once you get familiar with that, I think that's definitely an advantage, and we've seen that with other foreign players who've come and played in the IPL, how they approach when they come to the subcontinent. Their mindset completely changes because they do have that confidence of playing a lot more cricket than they used to in the past. So there's definitely an advantage, and especially for our group of guys, because they're all young. And being in those dressing rooms in those IPL teams, they've played with or against top players in the world, and the thought processes, how they see the game, how they see tactically, how they need to set up against certain teams or players, they'll be much more improved in that thought process and mentally going into this tournament.
Mahela, I mean, I have to ask you a few questions about India because you've sort of been around and you know these guys. Thoughts on Rohit as captain, because never has been a tournament where he will be under more pressure. All of India, we've not won an ICC tournament for 10 years on home soil. Rohit Sharma, a lot of, I mean, for example, Saurav was on my show, says this might define Rohit's legacy. You've coached him. Rohit Sharma as captain, how important is this? How does he deal with it?
I think he's going to just deal fine. I mean, Rohit is a very simple character. I mean, the Rohit that I have known at Mumbai is immune to that kind of pressure. I think he's such a simple guy, and he just goes about doing what he thinks is best. And I don't see him taking any other approach. I mean, doesn't matter whether India plays at home. Obviously, there's that added pressure, but whenever you play for India, that pressure is always going to be there, and especially this World Cup, it will be there. But I think knowing Rohit, how he's going to approach, he's not going to be faced by that. I think he's just going to take that as another opportunity and another. They have a very good competitive unit if everyone stays healthy. And he's going to approach it with a very positive mindset and play the best cricket that they can. I honestly don't think that he will feel that pressure. I mean, if you see him handling press conferences and all that, he's quite a chill character, and he just sees things how he sees things.
So he's like that in the dressing room, and he's like that as well. I mean, so what we see is what we get. I mean, it's not a put on, right?
It is not. It is not. I mean, he's a good thinker of the game, and he understands what needs to be done. Tactically, he's savvy. He's a much more instinctive captain. Um, but he does prepare himself pretty well. I mean, when he's going into matches and tournaments, that preparation is there as a captain. But like any good captain, you need to play the moment, and I think that's what he does. And what you've seen out there in the middle with Rohit, that's what you're going to get.
A word on Virat Kohli. Again, all of India, all of the cricketing world will be on him, saying, come on, I mean, on home soil, last World Cup in Australia, that Pakistan innings was almost sort of, tailor-made to greatness for Virat Kohli. A word on Virat Kohli and how you see him, because he's back in form after a lean patch.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a massive player for India with this World Cup, and probably the most experienced apart from Rohit. I think Virat is the only one who's been in that team from 2011, if I'm not mistaken. So, he's gone through that cycle, and you would have seen what Sachin had to go through during that period, and he would have learned from that. And I think he'll be just like Rohit. I think they're very mature cricketers, and they will take it in the right spirit and play and enjoy. I mean, the whole point of World Cups and these big tournaments are that you need to enjoy the tournaments. I mean, if you don't enjoy it becomes a bit of a burden. It doesn't matter your performances as long as you're enjoying those tournaments and the challenges. I think that's where your best will come out, and it's simple as that.
While I'm asking you this question as a legend of the game, you are one of the greatest to have played that sport. India versus Pakistan. When you sit from the outside, India versus Pakistan on Indian soil in a World Cup with 100,000 people in Ahmedabad. Can you set that up for me?
It's going to be tough to set that up. I think the build-up is always going to be amazing build-up. I mean, the uniqueness is India, Pakistan don't play that often. I think that's where that setting is going to be fantastic. I mean, Ahmedabad, what a venue. I mean, 100,000 people. It's going to be amazing fixture. I think the both teams will feel that pressure in World Cup stage. Whoever have that less nerves will triumph and win that. And I'm sure as neutrals, we're going to enjoy that encounter, because two very good teams. I think Pakistan has a very good young team which has been together for some time. They've been playing some really good consistent cricket, and India has the experienced players and the same kind of strength, and at home conditions they're a formidable opponent. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Is it Pakistan bowling versus Indian batting? I mean, Shaheen, Naseem, Haris Rock versus the Indian batting, because a lot of experts have said they are the best bowling attack in the world at the moment. Is it Pakistan bowling versus Indian batting?
Yeah, I mean, you can say that, because obviously the Indian strength is their batting group when you compare the two teams, and yes, Pakistan do have a decent pace attack, couple of good spinners. I still wouldn't put everything on that, but I still feel that the Indian bowling unit in their home conditions are very, very important, especially with Jasprit back in the attack, healthy, gives that bit of X factor. Spinner's going to play a big part in those conditions. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. It'd be tough to say the bowling versus batting of Pakistan India, but I think it's going to be an overall game. I think who's going to stand up from those big occasions, who's going to hold their nerve. And the other factors going to play around as well, how those two teams are going to go in other matches in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Because that's going to play a crucial role by the time they get to that game, how they have placed themselves in other encounters. So all that is going to come into play. Once that game comes by.
Last few questions. One, I mean, when I look at again on paper, I mean, I look at that Australian side. I'm like, come on, at number 7, 8, 9, if you have match winners who can even come and sort of do some stuff with the bat and win you games, where is the weakness? I mean, number of all-rounders, fast bowlers. They've got leg spin, proper, spin covered. The batting is fantastic. Is Australia the team to beat, according to you, going into this World Cup again because of IPL experience?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have a lot of guys who with IPL experience, subcontinent. But Boria, I mean, it's just that it's very difficult to pick any favorites. I know most of the teams are balanced. Even if you take the way the England is setting themselves up, they look really good. South Africa, they look pretty decent as well. They've got a good pace attack. They've got the experienced spinners back. Batting looks strong. A young group of guys, but and New Zealand always, in like Sri Lanka, those big tournaments, they always turn up, and they've got Kane back as well. So I mean, it's very tough to say that that one particular team is favorites. Yes, they've got all their areas covered. Power hitting, the all rounders, fast bowlers, couple of good spinners. But it's just how you're going to handle the situations, how you're going to get into a rhythm, and the way the tournament is structured, because you're playing each other. It's a pretty long tournament as well, comparatively. And are you fresh enough at the back end of the tournament once you're in that, situations where you're playing your semi-finals, and that's where the key factor will come in. Who's got that little bit of extra in their tanks?
Last two. One, how important is this tournament from the perspective of the 50 over game? Because clearly there was so much talk about T20 50 overs, test match cricket. This tournament could just give that 50 over game a new injection of lifeline, a kind of push. Do you agree with that? How important is it from the perspective of the 50 over format?
I mean, I've always felt that the 50 over game was in a healthy place. I mean, you need to just go into that 2019 finals. I mean, that was something special. And that entire tournament was that. And I think, yeah, in between the cycle, like in that 4-year period, you had a bit of a dull period. Obviously, COVID hampered a lot of cricket, and people did not play that much. And we had 2 T20 World Cups, back to back. But I think everyone's looking forward to. I think for all the cricketers who's playing, the 50 over World Cup is the biggest tournament. There's no doubt about that. I think they want that feather in their cap. Yes, the T20 World Cups are important, but you get more opportunities there, and then there's a lot of more cricket played around. But the 50 over World Cup, that's a massive feather in their cap. So I think, on a cricketer's point of view, it is very important. I think the focus, everything will be on that for each and everyone who's going to be involved. And I think the entire world's fraternity is going to be looking forward to this World Cup in India. I mean, there's no better place to play a World Cup, because you're going to get packed houses. It doesn't matter where you're going to play, which match. There'll be people, taking part in the whole atmosphere and enjoy a World Cup. And yeah, I mean, it'll be fantastic for the game.
Lovely, brilliant answer. Actually, that one. Last one. Cricket in the Olympics is what I hear, Mahela, for 2028. Thoughts? Cricket at the Olympics, gold medal round your neck, whichever team.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. I think even if we can get the women's game in first, and then the men's at some point. I'm being a huge advocate of cricket being in Olympics, because we deserve to be there. I think the second or third biggest sport in the world, popular sport in the world, and we have to be in the Olympics, and that is going to open many more doors for the development of the game. There's going to be more funding coming to other countries which has started the game or which has been in the game for a while. That infrastructure will come through as well for most of the countries through that. I mean, we need to grow the game, and the more people get involved and understand what cricket is all about, the skills which is evolved, it'll be fantastic. I mean, I'm looking forward to that when that happens.
I'll let you go there. Absolutely brilliant talking to you, Mahela Jayawardene. I've always respected you as a cricketer, commentator, coach. May I say it was an absolute honor and pleasure watching you play. And at times you gave us a lot of pain. So I'll say that publicly. We just wanted you to sort of get out, but that's different as an Indian fan. But you're a great statesman of this game. And I'm glad. I'm absolutely glad that you have done what you have and you continue to do what you do. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you joining me, and it's been an honor to have you on my show. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you.